My log has something to tell you.
Tonight, we continue our journey deeper into the Andreasson affair, the abduction of one Betty Andreasson, and the cosmic encounter that the rest of her family had that night. When we last left, it was a quiet night for Betty and her family. Typical dinner. Unfortunately, their father in the hospital. Betty planning to go visit him after she finished up her kitchen chores. Grandma and Grandpa watching the 5 kids. Grandpa at this moment, though, after dinner, standing in the laundry room observing the yard, as old folks like to do. Grandma with the kids in the living room, curled up watching their favorite television show, Bozo the Clown. Becky among them. Betty, as she's washing up, notices the kitchen fill with a faint pink glow, followed by the lights flickering on and off. The next thing she realizes, entities are in the kitchen. The rest of her family passed out, paralyzed. They don't remember anything. Except old Grandpa remembers the UFO landing and seeing entities get out of the UFO, then he blacks out. Becky, at this point, wakes up and sees her mom, Betty, standing in the kitchen doorway, talking to these strange entities, and they're exchanging books, it looks like. Betty's handing the entities a book. The entities are handing Betty this glowing tablet-looking book thing. At that point, the leader of the entities, who we know, if you're with us for last time's read-through, which you should have been, if not, it should be on YouTube now. Quazga, the leader, he looks over, and he notices Becky awake, looking up, looking at him. This is no good. Quazga looks over at Becky. Becky passes out. The next thing the family remembers is they wake up in different rooms. Not all of them are in their normal room. They're in different rooms. They just wake up. They don't remember going to bed. They remember some missing time, kind of, but they wake up, they continue their lives. Same with Betty. She just wakes up after that. They know it was a weird night, but they don't put much to it. Till 10 years later, when more abductees start coming forward, Betty starts thinking, maybe something happened that night. She reaches out to Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who's like, yo, let's look into this. He gets his crack investigators on it. They put Betty under hypnosis, which I know, debatable whether it's even credible under hypnosis with, maybe suggestible questions and all that good stuff. But this is the story that Betty tells. Was everything we've read before? I'm a believer. I think 100% Betty was taken by some sort of entity, whether it was a staged paranormal event meant to just open her mind and open other people's minds who hear the story, or actual possible extraterrestrials from parts unknown needing to do experiments for whatever reason. Who knows? But Betty tells the story of being taken on board. These beings phase through the kitchen and they talk to her. When they first arrive to her, she thinks they're trying to tell her that they're hungry. So Betty, being a great host, she says, you know what? Let me cook you something. And she starts cooking some food. And then Quazga's like, yes, stop. We don't eat your kind of food. The food we eat is burnt. Betty doesn't really understand that, so she keeps cooking. The food gets burnt, and they're like, no. We're not going to try that nasty shit. We're trying to tell you we eat knowledge, pure light. And when Betty hears this, she goes, oh, I got just the thing for you. She goes to her living room. She grabs the Bible. She hands it to Quazga. Now, this is all in the first chapter that we read. First couple chapters. Quazga's like, oh, cool. Hands it to the boys. The other little gray aliens start leafing through it. In return, Quazga hands her this little blue book that's glowing. She leafs through it. She says she kind of gets these messages she can't understand from it, but it's an exchange of knowledge. At that point, Quazga turns around and takes them on board the ship. But after this exchange of food for thought, we could say, Quazga takes old Betty onto the ship. Aboard the ship, Betty's made to wait in this waiting room for too long. She gets pissed about it. Quazga and the boys end up taking her down a hallway, and they have her dress in this medical gown, and then she's put through this machine of light that kind of scans her. All the while, Quazga's doing the classic alien thing that happens to people when they get abducted. It's calmly communicating to her through its mental telepathy. That's how she explains it, at least. She doesn't hear Quazga's voice. She feels it. It's just in her head. And that's where we left Betty, about to be taken into the examination room. So enough of me just babbling on about what we already know. Let's get into what happened next. An examination and then a trip to parts unknown beyond the veil, beyond the universe, to an all-red planet with weird creatures and a crystalline city. Let's get down to the reading. Where's the butter room? They take her to a room that looks like a stick of butter under a glass. Yes, okay, the butter room. The examination. As we read, imagine this like a stage play. It's written, well, it's a transcript of Betty's hypnosis sessions. So we have some characters here, and I'm going to share them here at the top. Here is the author of the book, one Mr. Raymond E. Fowler, with a model of Quazga. So when I talk about Quazga, imagine that dude. Imagine this alien dude right here, one of our main characters, Quazga. This is Betty on top, Becky here, grown up during the hypnosis session. Remember, this was 10 years later after the encounter. And this is the doctor, Dr. Harold J. Eldstein. These are going to be the main characters you hear in the book. There's going to be some other people whose names I read, but they're just other investigators around. These are the main folks. So if you want to imagine them in your mind's eye, and the stage on your mind's eye. The examination. And already we're starting with someone that wasn't pictured. Fred. Imagine Fred, however you picture a Fred. Fred. How large is this room? Talking about the room she was led in after they had her dress up. So they lead her to a dressing room. She gets in this gown. Now Quazga is leading her to the next room, the examination room. Fred. How large is the room? Betty. Very large. Very high over my head. Very wide, but it closes in on you. Fred. Does it have corners? Betty. No. It's dome-shaped. It's rounded. Now Jules. Can you see the source of the illumination? Betty. It comes from all over the place. Is the ship moving? I don't feel as if it's moving. I couldn't tell because I'm just in that room, that building, or whatever it is. And here's the room she's describing. You can see it looks like a stick of butter on display underneath a glass dome. Interesting. The butter room. Can you see any furniture? Yes, there's something like a desk or a box-like thing. Can you see any welded seams on the wall or some type of seam? No. It seems smooth all the way around. Smooth. How did you gain access to this room? They put me in there. How did the being touch you? Did they move you on a gurney? They didn't really touch me. There was something that they had power that I automatically went. On the elongated desk, when Betty gave it a closer look, she reported that she saw a control panel on its side, and it reminded her of an operating table. When she thought of this, she shuddered. The two of them are there, and I see the table or that square thing or whatever it is. Is that an examining thing? No, I don't want to get up there. And on the side of there are buttons, and that other one glided over to the other side there, and I don't want to get up there. And Quazga is coming in now. And he's in a different suit with some of the others. And he comes in over to me. And here's what they look like. So these guys are floating in over to her. Quazga floats over to her and he telepathically beams to her. You are going to be all right, Quazga said. You are going to be okay. Now, this is a very common trope that we see in all these stories. These entities talk very calmly and they just repeat the same thing over and over. It's like super hypnotic. And somehow they've got me. They're putting me on that flat center thing, that flat table, the butter, if you will. I'm not reading this word for word. I am skipping over some of the parts where the psychiatrist is calming her down because I think those parts are rather useless. But it's good to know when his patient was getting a little heightened, he helped calm her down so she could just tell the story and realize that she wasn't still in the event. So they continue to ask her, how'd you get in that room? Betty. No, it seemed like I floated up there somehow. I was just swept off my feet and laid there. The alien creature's physical examination of Betty was one of the most emotion-packed portions of the case. I was held somehow because I didn't want that examination. All the beings were of the same kind, but one was taller than the others. Were they dressed alike? In that room, they seemed to be in different clothes, shiny white silver clothes. Were these different beings than the ones you met in the kitchen? Their skin seemed whiter. Maybe it's because of the bright light in there. It didn't seem so clay-like and gray. The leader was the same as the one you had in the kitchen? Yeah, he's the same one. Well, what happened next? There's a big block, a long block thing that they had me on, and lights coming from the walls and wires, needle wires. They took those long silver needles and they were bendable and they stuck one up my nose and into my head. This is what she's talking about. These things, this is what they stuck up her nose. These tubes, these needles. Did you feel pain? Yes. But they touched the top of my head and it took away my pain. They touched my forehead. They said they were awakening something. Are there any sounds associated with this experience? Betty. When they stuck that needle up my nose, I heard something break, like a membrane or a veil or something, like a piece of tissue or something they broke through. Did they leave you alone after this experiment? No, they were getting it over and done with. And they inserted another long silver thing through my belly button, my navel. And when they did, they started talking with each other. What was this long thing connected to? I really can't see it because I'm lying down straight. Did they tell you what the purpose was for the penetration of your navel? What was the examination for? Betty, something about creation? But they said there were some parts missing. Can you explain what was meant? It was because I had a hysterectomy, I guess. She's talking to Quazga at this point. She's laying down on the table. So now back to Betty's examination. She's been swept off her feet, floated onto this table. The horrible needle experiment is over where they inserted needles up her nose and into her navel. Now Quazga's come over to her with this device and she's apprehensive. She was just in a lot of pain. She's like, what are you going to do with that, Quazga? I just want to measure your light, Quazga said. That's what you're going to do? Just measure me for light? We are just going to measure you for light, he repeated, Betty. And I'm lying there and he has this thing at 2 bars on the side like a fan and tulips on the end. I don't know. He's waving it over me and he says, you have not understood the word that you have, Quazga told her. You've misunderstood some places. There are spots there from it. You are not completely filled with the light. I believe I'm filled with the light, Betty strongly protested. I believe that I'm filled with the light. Well, Quazga's like, my little one says different, lady. We will have to measure you physically, Quazga replied. You told me that I wouldn't have to be measured physically, that you have measured others in the past physically, but you wouldn't have to measure me because of the light. But we have to because there are some spots there. Is it gonna hurt? Betty asked. I thought that you'd only measure me for light. I feel shaky. He's taking an instrument and I'm gonna stand over I'm in complete control. Complete control. He's taking an instrument. Ow! Deep, fast breathing. Why do you have to put that up my nose? He's putting that thing in my nose and it's going up and it's breaking through something. I don't like it. I can't move. It's hurting. He has that thing up in my head. Not again. Her lips quiver. At that point, Quazga apparently eased Betty's pain by placing his hand on her forehead, on the top of her head, and Betty's body relaxed noticeably. Thank you, she said softly. Yeah, why don't you just do that the whole fucking time if you could do it from the beginning? After the examination, Betty found it hard to explain how the aliens had communicated with her. It seemed as if she heard their voices in her mind. The next thing that happened, Betty's eyes started darting back and forth. She was puzzled. The entities were just standing there. Nothing seemed to be happening. And yet intuitively, she felt that something was happening. Then her eyes caught movement from above, and she stiffened. She saw some kind of mechanism emerge from the center of the domed ceiling and slowly descend towards her paralyzed body. But this light starts lowering down, and we know paralyzation, very typical, very boring detail of alien and entity abductions, whether it's you're being gassed by a mad gasser or Mad Jack, gosh, what's his name? Slappy Jackie over there in England. The same thing. You get paralyzed, can't move until the entity leaves. Same thing with happened in some Mothman encounters, other alien encounters. So Betty's paralyzed, we get it. Next thing she knows, they're lowering this big eye over her, and it's freaking her out a bit. I hope it doesn't hurt. Oh, don't let it hurt. It doesn't hurt, at least. They are raising it up again, and they are bringing it all the way up now. She's paralyzed on the table. This light comes down, examines her. Thankfully, it's not painful like the other examinations have been, and the light goes back up. At this moment, she begins to float again. She's like walking single file with the aliens. Quazga in front, her, then some aliens behind her, some entities behind her. They're leading her down a hallway. She's not sure where she's going. They end up back in the dressing room, where she puts her own clothes back on. That's where we're rejoining Betty and Quazga. Betty gets dressed and she shouts to her captors, I'm ready, I'm ready. And the door whooshed open, and there they were again. 2 gnome-like beings asked her to follow them. Somehow she was automatically drawn between them, and they glided forward effortlessly. Remember, Betty hasn't walked once since she's been with these creatures. They float her everywhere. Betty found herself re-entering the room where the elevator tube had terminated. The trio glided toward a wall. A door flashed open, and they entered an enclosed corridor that reminded Betty of a subway tunnel. It was at this point that she noticed they were floating above something like a track. We're going through like an underground corridor, all hollow, into another opening where It is light, and it's like a track. We're going on like a track, and we're still walking, gliding, or something. My head feels so heavy. It feels so heavy. I can hardly hold it up. We later asked Betty if she thought she had left the craft because the area she had been describing seemed too vast to be within the UFO. No, it doesn't seem as if I'm in the craft. How'd you get out of the craft? It was as though... It was through that long tunnel, the three emerged into a curiously shaped compartment like a half-cylinder hut. 4 glass-like chairs lined each side of the room. This is what she walked into. The glass chairs of doom. The 4 chairs of doom lined each side of the room. In this room, between the glass-like chairs, there ran an escalator-like track, and they led Betty to one of these chairs and had her sit down, repeating the phrase in her mind. Please be seated. We will not harm you. Betty asked them, what are these chairs going to do? Please be seated. We will not harm you. Their polite requests created an illusion of free will, but in reality, she found that her choice always corresponded with their wishes. Her willpower seemed mesmerized by their powerful influences beyond her ken. As she sat down, a transparent enclosure came down around her. So she's sitting there in these terrifying chairs, and then all of a sudden, shloop, another glass thing locks her in. I hope I can breathe in here, Betty thought as the glass surrounded her. There seems to be air. I feel like I'm going to be knocked out from it. It feels like they are putting something cold in there. Oh, it feels like it's getting colder. It feels cold. I'm in that glass thing, at that encasing chair, and I'm cold. And I've been there a long time. And the door, the covering is starting to open. The other half is opening, and they've come for me again. The entities beckoned to Betty, and in a sitting position, she floated to another of the odd-looking chairs. And somehow, the chamber is sort of weightless because they just beckon me, and I'm lifting up. I'm sort of sitting down in a sitting down position, but I'm lifting up. And they're directing me over to the other side, where there are chairs similar to this. And I'm sitting down again. So from one horror chair to the next, she's floated to this one, the travel chair. Travel across the cosmos, locked in a glass chair, screaming. Terror filled Betty's heart when she was told that she was to be immersed in a liquid. The entities assured her that the provision would be made to prevent her from drowning. They're telling me that there are 3 tubes, that they are going to put liquid in here with me. He became hysterical. I'll drown if you do that. No, you won't drown, they said. We've provided something for you. It's a tube, 3 tubes. Just keep your eyes closed and you will be fine. You got the tubes, babe, don't worry. A translucent canopy enshrouded Betty's body. Self-sealing tubes were connected to her mouth and nose. They're closing and sealing it, and they've got a tube. They're inserting it into my mouth, and the tubes are for two tubes for my nostrils. Oh my God. And that tube goes down in my mouth and in my nostrils, and somehow it's sealed. They're letting some gray liquid pour down on my head and into that place. And I've got to remember to keep my eyes closed. He said to keep my eyes closed. As the watery substance filled the chair-like enclosure, Betty felt soothing vibrations pulse rhythmically through her submerged body. Oh, this is soothing. This is relaxing. Feels good. Oh, it feels good like a whirlpool vibrating around. And I could breathe all right, because I'm breathing through my mouth and through my nose through those tubes. The tranquilizing oscillations continued. The feeling of heaviness that attended Betty from the onset of her experience dissipated. She became one with and in perfect resonance with the undulating fluid. Suddenly, Betty started as a telepathic voice interrupted her reverie. Yes, they're calling me and telling me that they are going to give me something to drink for me to swallow it. Now Betty became visibly upset. What is it? They said not to be alarmed. It is something I must go through and take. What is it? Betty waited expectantly. Soon, she felt a thick syrup seeping into her mouth through the connecting tubes. It's about a spoonful or so. They're giving me through the tube, and it tastes sweet. Oh, it tastes good. Oh, this feels good. Oh, so relaxing. And it tasted good. It was sweet and thick and sort of like cough syrup. Oh, getting that, sir. Heck yeah, that tastes good, Betty. And I'm just in here with that vibration. It's going around and around, and it feels good on me. I feel very relaxed, just like a whirlpool. Did they give you this water or syrup through the tube? Fred asked. Yeah, they gave it through the tube. Those are more of the parts I skipped. They just ask her to repeat Now, this syrup, did it come through a tube? Okay, guys, great question. Betty felt as if she had been transported somewhere during the immersion in the enclosed chair. She later speculated that the strange tank-like apparatus somehow shielded her body from harmful effects while en route. Her intuition was well-founded. It would appear that the strange craft did carry Betty somewhere. The events that followed indicated that it again landed and linked itself to the entrance of an alien realm. Finally, the vibration ceased. The gray fluid drained from the enclosure and it opened again. It's stopping. It's stopping now. And it's starting to drain. And I can't seem to open my eyes yet. I can feel it draining. And now the heaviness is coming back. My hands, my arms, my legs, and my feet feel heavy again. Somehow, the entities had control over Betty's eye movement. They had taken safety precautions to assure that Betty would keep her eyelids closed during her immersion. Soon, her eyes blinked open, and Betty was startled to see that each creature had a black hood over its head. Honestly, the scariest freaking entity you can encounter, in a fluorescent silver suit with a black hood over its head, surrounding you when you wake up in a new realm. The one in front leaned over a little and touched something on the seat. I don't know if it was a button or something. Immediately, Betty's hands and arms felt lighter. I'm beginning to feel lighter in the hands and arms, but my right leg and feet are still so heavy. Follow us, please, they said. Betty struggled to get up out of the chair. Suddenly, she again found some force pulling her between them. I later asked if she was wet when she came out of the immersion chair. Yes, I was. How did your clothes dry? I don't know. They weren't clinging to you? Yes, they were clinging. In moments, the trio were again floating above the black track. Betty sighed unhappily. They were moving in the opposite direction from which they had entered the half-cylindrical room. And as they reached the other end of the chamber, a door flashed open. It opened into a tunnel. And we are going through a tunnel. Looks like a dark tunnel. And they have hoods over their heads. And it's a very dark tunnel. Their suits look shiny. But because of that dark thing they have on, they look like they don't have any heads. I want to go back. Then they asked her to describe the black hoods, and she just goes into detail about they're dark black. And they ask her a lot of questions about that in the suits. So it's funny to me. But yeah, so then they're taking her down this long hallway. And then something strange starts to happen. So as they're floating her down this track, the track began to slant upward, and ahead loomed a very shiny mirror-like obstruction. And we're coming to some kind of glass mirror, or glass. She braced herself for a collision, which never occurred. The trio passed through the silvery material without encountering any resistance. And we're going through it. We're going through it. We're going through that mirror. Betty squinted her eyes as they passed out of the tunnel into a place where the atmosphere was a vibrating red color. The red looked like an infrared light, she later explained. It vibrated. It was like vibration through the air. The entity's silver suits reflected the shimmering color of this new environment. I'm in a place where it's all red. The atmosphere is all red, vibrating red, and their suits look red. Only their head thing looks blackish red. It was red all over, even on the horizon. Everything was red except for the track that we were on. It was a dark color, like a black, but with the red hitting against it. The black track stretched on ahead between two square buildings with window-like openings. We are going in this place, and there are buildings, square buildings with openings. Could you see the structure of the buildings? She was asked. Are they similar to our kind of buildings? They seemed as if they were stucco or cement. Was it like a landscape? In the red part, there wasn't. There wasn't any vegetable life, just red. Was there any foliage in the red portion? Nothing, just red. Were you like in a red cloud? No. There was land and there were buildings, but there was no vegetable life, just land and buildings. All you can do is make out the forms of things. And now we are passing. Oh boy, we're coming to where there are some beings. Betty gaped in horror at what she saw crawling on the buildings. And these beings, they got 2 eyeballs, and there are loads of them. Oh, they're scary. And they're skinny arms and legs and kind of a full body, and their eyes can move every which way. And they climb just like monkeys. They can climb up quickly and swiftly and down and around and in and out of windows. They're all over the place. The weird creatures were headless, and they had 2 large eyes located on the tip of stalks that emanated from the top of their bodies, and the stalks moved independently of each other. Betty became very agitated as they passed by the frightful animals. "Who are these?" she cried to the entities who would not tell her. "But they are all around us, everywhere. They are all around and they keep looking at us." Was there animosity between the beings and these lemur monkey types? Dr. Edelstein asked her. The beings just had hoods over them. The creatures' huge eyes gawked at Betty and her companions as they glided by. When they passed by without mishap, Betty breathed a sigh of relief. Was there anything else in this red place? Just the buildings and those beings. The tracks swept them forward. We are in this red place. We're still going on this, I don't know if it's an escalator or what. It just seems like we are going along further and further on. We're coming to... They approach a circular membrane and pass through it. This is the circular membrane, if you could imagine. So she's entering from one dimension to another, or one realm to another. You'll see. They pass through it without resistance into a place with a green atmosphere. The track curved upward into this new vast green area. It's beautiful here. Oh, it's so beautiful here. And we are still along the thing. And now that we are in the green atmosphere, they are taking off those black hoods and going along, and it seems like a mist or sea or something off on the side there. Beautiful. And we're like on a narrow passage of land, and we're gliding across it. And off to the side, I see, I don't know if they're fish or what. It looks like a combination fish and bird. And it seems like a haze is all over and fog, and yet it's light and I could see it. And we are going someplace. I don't know where it is up ahead, but it seems that we're going someplace. Where they're going, who knows? But here, you can see here a sketch of the fish-like thing in the sky. Betty peered down upon the strange plants, mist-enshrouded water, and a distant complex of buildings. The sheer vastness of this alien realm overwhelmed her senses. Where was she? What was this place? It reminded her of some legendary underground kingdom. It's getting brighter green and beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. That one in front of me told me, see, I told you not to be afraid. There's a lot of different stuff I'm seeing, and I can't describe it. It's just unusual and different. Plants are different. It's like long stems that come out of loops and different colors. But they're green. Betty sounded puzzled and frustrated at not being able to describe verbally what she saw. I don't know how that can be unless I'm just feeling or thinking the colors, because it's green all around and yet I can see the color in it. It's all green. We're coming, we must be at a city or something, because there seems to be buildings or something up ahead. It's just, I don't have the words to be able to explain it. All of a sudden, Betty and her fellow floaters coasted to a halt. Other similar elevated tracks crisscrossed the area. They stopped to let something go by. Betty just watched, dumbfounded. Later, she found nothing in her vocabulary to describe it. We're stopping because there's something white there. There's something white. I don't know what it is. It's something like, I can't ever explain that. And then they ask her about what it feels like to be floated. It's smooth, she says. Their stop was brief, and soon they were on the move again. Betty was fascinated as she gazed down upon a building that reminded her of a pyramid. To its apex, a sculpted head was affixed. I'm seeing a pyramid, but this pyramid is a different kind of pyramid. It has one big flat side and the others indent, sort of. We're going over it high in the sky. What was the head? Could you see? It looked sort of like an Egyptian head. And it had like, you know, how they wear those hats? It was just like a regular head. It wasn't fat like the Sphinx. The Sphinx has a big fat face. This had 11 cheeks, but it looked sort of feminine yet male. With 11 cheeks? What the fuck? Do you think you could draw a sketch of it now? Not up close. I couldn't see the features that good. I could try to attempt it to get it down, but it was feminine male. It was like a combination of the two. I'm reading this really good sci-fi book called The Female Male. Interesting. And connection. Were there high buildings? There were. But they looked like, you know, a lot like science fiction. Big cities with all these different bridges around. Could you see any activity? No, I don't remember seeing any activity. It was too far away. That was way over to the side there, way over to the side. The pyramid was closer than that. The city was way over to the side. There was a horizon because that was on the horizon, and the sky was in the back of it, the green sky. Was there anything up in the sky, a sun? No. Was it artificially lit? No. Was there a dome? Yes, there was a dome. Was there just one large dome? No, there were many domes. Where did you see the domes? Overhead? No, off to the side. There were domes in the city. Betty, if you looked up, what was overhead? Betty, if you looked up, what was overhead? Just endlessness of that green. Betty's journey continued, however. Where are we going? She's asking Quazga. My head is so heavy, it feels funny. Still going up and up. Directly ahead of them, a bright light source came into view. It reflected off beautiful crystalline structures. like giant prisms. Betty gazed in awe at the changing colors. The stark beauty of it all was frightening. And I'm coming before a bright light. Crystals, bright, bright light, and clear crystals that have rainbows all in it. It is all crystal all around. All forms of crystal. I don't know what it is. I'm afraid. I want to go back. And the bright light up ahead. Oh, I want to go back. They are taking me through these crystals. That bright light is up ahead. Oh, that bright light. We are stopping, and the two are getting off of the thing, and I'm just there before the light. A vague form in front of the light slowly became more distinct. Astonished, Betty observed a huge bird standing directly in front of the dazzling light source. It was too big to be real, and yet looked as if it were alive. I'm seeing something like a large bird, huge, huge bird. It's standing with its wings and the light in back of it. As they approached the bird-like apparition, the temperature became unbearably hot. Woo! It's hot. I'm so hot. I'm so hot. I feel like I'm burning. I'm so hot. Then they ask her, well, do you think you're still in the ship or do you think you went on a voyage? Betty's like, I went on a voyage. I mean, obviously she went on a voyage. She's in this giant dome room with this friggin' burning phoenix bird, whatever the heck it is. She's writhing in agony in front of this big old phoenix bird as pictured. Boink. The great bird, the great eagle. I'm standing before that large bird. It's very warm. And that bird looks like an eagle to me. And it's living. It has a white head, and there is a light in the back of it, a real white light, very, very big, and it has brown features. It's very, very hot here. Heavy breathing. The bird is just standing there, and it looks like it's holding back light somehow. I'm just standing in front of it, and it's so hot. The bird, the feathers are just fluffed out. The light seems so bright in the back of it. It's beautiful, a beautiful bright light. Betty began to sweat and pant. Oh, it's just standing there, and I see gold specks flying around, like little tiny gold specks. Oh, it's hot. Whew. The specks just keep on flying around, and that bird just keeps standing there. The light just keeps sending out rays. They keep on getting bigger and bigger. The rays keep on getting bigger and bigger. Oh, the heat is so strong. Oh, wow, this makes me weak. Betty cried out for help and writhed in agony. Take me out of it. Take me out of it. I can't feel my hands. Oh, wow. My hands and my legs, my feet. Oh, it just feels like my hands are just vibrating so much, and my feet are just vibrating. Like, oh, suddenly Betty's body relaxed and she quieted down. Oh, I'm beginning to cool off a little. My hands hurt. Her voice took on a puzzled tone at this point. There's a fire in front of me, a little fire, or something burning, I don't know. Betty's voice was filled with wonder. For her, the blinding light had dimmed. The seething temperature had dropped. Slowly, she squinted her eyes open. The huge bird was nowhere to be seen. In its stead was a small fire. She watched it gradually dim to a reddish glow and then to a pile of gray ashes flecked with red embers. The fire's burning down, and there are like coals there. I feel cold now. I feel cold. Betty began to shiver. Now it looks like a worm, a big fat worm. It just looks like a big fat worm, a big fat gray worm just lying there. I hear somebody speaking in a loud voice. Then she hesitated and repeated what she heard. You have seen and you have heard. Do you understand? They called my name and they repeated it again in a louder voice. I said, no, I don't understand. What is this all about? Why am I even here? And they, whatever it was, said, I have chosen you. For what have you chosen me? Betty asked the voice. I have chosen you to show the world. Are you God? Betty asked, with wonder in her voice. Are you the Lord God? I shall show you as time goes by, was the equivocal reply. Looks of puzzlement and concern passed among the investigators. In her head, it tells her, I love you. God is love, and I love you. They said, or whatever it was. I say they, but it seemed like one. Why was I brought here? Betty asked again. Because I have chosen you. Why won't you tell me why and what for? The time is not yet. I shall come. That which you have faith in, that which you trust. Betty defensively proclaimed her Christian faith. It is true. I have faith in God, and I have faith in Jesus. Praise God, praise God. There is nothing that can harm me. There is nothing that can make me fear. We know, child, the voice answered. We know, child. That you do, that is why you have been chosen. I am sending you back now. Fear not, be comfort. Your own fear makes you feel these things. I would never harm you. It is your fear that you draw to your body that causes you to feel these things. I can release you, but you must release yourself of that fear through my son. The words through my son suddenly became the catalyst for the most moving religious experience I'd ever witnessed. Betty's face literally shone with understanding and joy as tears streamed down from her beaming face. In this moment, Betty is literally sobbing with joy while under hypnosis, really freaking out the investigators. They don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden she kind of snaps back after being told, okay, get ready, I'm going to return you, by the voice. This voice wasn't Quazga's voice. It wasn't one of the great aliens that we've met before voices. It was a different voice. It was a more disembodied voice that was in her head. So somehow, this is Betty's words again, I'm being turned around. So turned around from the light that she was facing, from that smoldering gray worm. I'm going back on that thing, the track, and I'm stopping. And those angels, I guess, one is getting in front of me and one is in back of me, or the gray alien she described earlier. And we are going along and we are going through those crystals again. The crystals aren't quite as shiny and like rainbows as before. She's backtracking through everything that we've talked about before. Over the magnificent city on like the people mover where she's floating, again in single file with the gray aliens, Quazga in front and her in the middle of two others. Over the vast green city. The whole city has a green and aura and tint. It's like in an everlasting green sunset. The crystals this time, she said, aren't as shiny, maybe because it's a different time of day, a little dimmer. But she can still see vast cities in the distance, along with the pyramids she passed that had the strange sphinx heads on top of them. She ends up back on board the ship, back in the glass chair room of doom. She's again seated in one of the chairs. This time it's different. This time they sit her down in the chair and they shock her a good one once or twice, I don't know, to get her ready for the journey. Then the same thing happens. All these tubes are inserted and she is surrounded by this sweet gray liquid and drifts off into a sleep and feels the vortex. And she says it's a nice journey. When she wakes up, back on board, the entities lead her back through the whole ship, back through the exam room. She recognizes everywhere they're going. Then they end up back in the hatch where she was first taken. And then the door opens and Quazga is there for his little farewell speech. Betty's surprised how calm she's being. She attributes it to being surrounded by the little gnome-like creatures who keep her in a hypnotic state. And this would be the view of Quazga and the boys were watching us read about them and the abduction experience Betty had. So she's just standing around and all of a sudden the door opens. Remember, she's in the main room they first brought her into. The butter room, if you will. And Quazga's in that silver suit. He comes up to me. The little man looked up at Betty and reached upward and placed his gloved hand on Betty's shoulder. His large eyes gazed deeply into her own. He's putting both hands on my shoulders and he's looking at me. And he says, "Child, you must forget for a while." He's telling me things. As Quazga gazed at Betty, his head seemed to become fuzzy. It seemed as if she were looking at him, but also by him. One of his eyes glowed white, but the other had a black eyeball. Two deep dark furrows above his eyes became very pronounced. Quazga's looking at me with one white eye and one black eye. And this time, he looks just like a bee. Somehow he's got two things that come out like a bee on their head. Two, not antlers. What are they? Feelers or something? It's like I'm seeing past his head and I'm seeing him like he's a bee. Like a giant bee head with big eyes. Betty elaborated on this if you want to get really into the description beyond this, she literally just describes this picture. Pick up the book, they go into it in detail about the antenna and what it looked like and the black and white eye. But we're going to get into the feelings. What did it look like when you stared into him? Staring into Quazga's eyes made it feel like he was going deeper inside of her. Deeper inside of her mind. Then Quazga began to speak telepathically. It would be his farewell message to Betty. He would not be leaving the ship with her. He's like, I got my I got my worker guys, they're gonna handle that. I gotta handle stuff on board. He says he's going to give me formulas, and he says until man finds those and understands those, he will not give any others. Betty repeated Quazga's message to her. He says my race won't believe me until much time has passed, our time. They love the human race. They have come to help the human race. And unless man will accept, he will not be saved. He will not live. All things have been planned. Love is the greatest of all. They do not want to hurt anybody. But because of great love, they said, because of great love, they cannot let man continue in the footsteps that he is going. Classic throughout all ancient alien lore, alien literature, alien folklore. It's all about like, y'all are on a path of destruction. Stop. And that great documentary Phenomena about UFOs and entities showing up at nuclear missile silos. Very, very interesting. It is better to lose some than to lose all. They have technology that man could use. It is through the spirit But man will not search out that portion. Betty began alternately pausing and then repeating Quazga's words. It was as if she had somehow been transferred back in time and was listening again to his enigmatical discourse, much like a channeler. Man must understand many of the natural things on earth. If man will just study nature itself, he will find many of the answers that he seeks. Within fire are many answers. Within ashes, within the highest of the high and the lowest of the low are many answers. Man will find them through the spirit. Man is not made of just flesh and blood. It would be easy to hand them to us, but that would show that we are not worthy to receive those. The knowledge is sought out through the Spirit, and those that are worthy are given. Those that are pure of heart, that seek with earnestness, will be given. Energy is around about man that he does not know of. It is the simplest form of energy. It is within the atmosphere. This atmosphere, it has all been provided for him. Many riddles will be given. Those that are wise will understand. Those that seek will find. They must remain hidden in this way because of the corruption that is upon earth. If they are revealed outright, man would use it. He keeps telling me of different things, of what is going to take place, what is going to happen. They're going to come to earth. Man is going to fear because of it. Many are going to be astonished, yet many are not going to be afraid because they have overcome fear. Betty continued to interpret and repeat the mental impressions that the staring entity was transmitting to her mind. We wondered about its literal accuracy in light of the earlier misinterpreted burned meat incident. Oh, don't you? Well, she learned a little bit. Then Quazga closed his dissertation with a startling statement. He says that he has had others here. Many others have locked within their minds secrets. He is locking within my mind certain secrets. They will be revealed when the time is right. Again, he's putting both hands on my shoulders and he's saying, go child, go now and rest. You know, the thing is, the entities learned in that moment with the burned meat encounter how to speak to Betty. So I doubt that they would then speak to her in a way that would be confusing after that. Because again, these entities, they travel through time, through dimensions, through space, wherever the fart. Their consciousness is vastly superior than ours. They'll pick up right, okay, we can't talk that way, let's talk this way. So I don't think I think Betty's kind of hitting it now. They're learning how to talk to her. And plus they're sounding like how all the fucking old esoteric spiritual books sound. Riddles, you know. What's the sound of one hand clapping type stuff. Quazga then took Betty into the small anteroom that she had entered originally from the outside the ship. And he's going through another room. It's raised up and it's going over to where I was to begin with. Some kind of up thing. It's an opening. And that's where we're up at that place where I first came in. And the door's opening. Well, thanks, Betty. Basically, she's leaving. Hi, Quazga. Nice hanging, bud. Thanks for your mysteries. And now, as they debrief her, they get way into detail about the hallway she's walking into. I'm not going to read that. You can pick up the book and read it. Interesting thing, when they're finally leaving, she's got entities in front of her. The little gnome-like gray aliens in the uniforms with the eagle insignia and the big, beautiful dark eyes that when they stare into you, it feels like you see the universe. They're leading her, same way, single file fashion. One of them has a little white ball. The other one has a bigger white ball, and it looks a little bit like this. And the cool thing is it kind of stays on their hand no matter what they do with it. It's like a whoom whoom whoom. The ball like stays on top of their hand like they're like a cool rave guy or something. Her and the ball guys in the silver suits, they get back to her house. They make their way through the kitchen. When they get there, her grandfather, her dad, is still standing there, frozen in time. She immediately gets worried because the white balls seem to have an effect on the grandpa. He starts waking up and moving, and she gets super worried, but the entities are like, yo, Betty, chill out, it's okay. We're just sending him to bed, and that's what happens. And as the entities are leading him off the bed with the little glowing balls, Betty's screaming at him, but no response. She's screaming, she's trying to get his attention, no response. The entities are like, yeah, we're not good. He's fine. Obviously, we took you to the universe. I mean, come on. We're not going to hurt him now, lady. But anywho, she's freaking. They're taking him off to bed. Then Betty walks into the horrifying scene of her family paralyzed in time with the TV in a weird, distorted glow. The flickering glow over her family, her like 7 children, and the grandmother. Their faces frozen in time, expressionless, emotionless, sitting there. This starts to really freak Betty out. While she's freaking out, a voice pierces her mind. snaps her out of it, and it's like, hey, Betty, you will have to forget this. I mean, yeah, this is a horrifying scene. You're going to want to forget it. And your family, they'll forget it. They will forget it too for the time being. They will come out. The things we have told you will come out at the appointed time. The book is over there, he says. And the book is over there. It's on the stand. The entity was referring to the blue book that Quazga had given Betty earlier in the exchange for her Bible. The entity said, we are now going to put you to rest. And that makes sense why they started talking to her like how God talks in the Bible. They're like, oh, Betty would understand this. She'll understand if we talk to her like this, like going, oh, child, you know, the world is love. Love is the... But it's interesting. What about my children? Betty asked. They will not have been harmed, he answered. We are just going to put them to rest, and they will be relaxed and asleep. One of the entities then proceeded to take the children to bed with the ball, like leading them out, like they did with the grandpa. The white glowing spheres seem to have been employed as control devices. And I see that one taking... Pause. The little ones are standing up. They're standing up and they're moving, but their faces seem as if they just don't know what's happening. They're just all getting in line and they're being stopped and said he would be back shortly. The kids are just playing follow the leader. They're just marching off through the hall and I could hear them on the steps because our stairs are squeaky. And they're all going upstairs except for me and my mother and father are sitting down on two sides here and just waiting there. Betty's eyes lighted on the small blue book on the stand. And I turned to the other and one asked him, may I see that book while I'm waiting? He still wouldn't answer. He just held the little ball in his hand. May I see the book while I'm waiting? He just won't answer. I don't even know what their names are. I don't know why Quazga didn't come back. Suddenly the other entity somehow just appeared in front of Betty. Oh! That other one is suddenly in front of me. I didn't see him come in. He's just there. He's holding that ball closer to my face. He's taking my mother and father with him, and he's going into the hall, into my bedroom. He's moving over, and that's the wrong bedroom. He's moving over now and wants to get after me now. And suddenly, that one is in front of me again. Just appeared. He's raising up his hands. One of the entity's hands held what looked like a glowing green candle. The other held the white glowing ball. Betty demanded to know who he was. What is your name? What is your name? The entity said his name was Jacques. What is this all about, Jacques? You will see as time goes by. And what about that blue book there? Betty repeated. Is that for me? For a time, Jacques answered. What is this all about? Because of love. It's all about love. Man seeks to find out about our place, our ships, our knowledge. What about that book over there? It is given to you for a while to grasp as much as you might grasp from it. There is writing there that will be discerned only through the spirit, and it's the writing of light. It can be understood only through the spirit. The other writing that is upon that is for man to seek and find out. There are formulas and riddles and poems and writings for man to understand nature, for he too is nature. He is formed from love, and love is the answer for man. Why is it man does not seek love of all time, Jacques? Betty wondered. Why is it? Because man has separated himself. He has become dual, separation, duality. He has formed that other side. That's so true right now. He has made it happen. It was all good at one time. Even his choice was good at one time. He has separated it. Even in love, there is some separation. Betty, follow me. And he's taken me up into the hall and up the stairs, and I could hear the stairs creaking. The entity did not return Betty to her own bedroom, which tracks. Favorite part about reading about alien abductions and these entity encounters are when that happens, when the entities mess up putting people back in their places. The most extreme case we've ever read about were the two dudes who were driving in their cars, passing each other when they got abducted, and when they were put back on Earth or taken back from the dimension, whatever it was, they were put back in the other person's car, like the wrong car. And here, the family is put back in the wrong bedroom. In the book Encounters, we read about the scientist who calls the pseudonym the Gray Man because he has so many encounters, but his family gets abducted and, they wake up and their clothes are backwards sometimes. It's just, they mess up a little bit. They don't know everything we're doing, but that's the funniest part of it, and that's the part I love the most. Now, they take her into a room that's not hers. And Jacques' like, you got to forget. She's like, why must I forget? Why must I forget? You must forget until the appointed time. And he's raising that ball and he's turning it over on the back of his hand again. And I'm getting undressed and pulling the covers down and I'm crawling into bed just like I was a little child. I'm jumping in and crawling in just like I remember seeing the little ones do. And I'm covering up and looking at him and he still has that big ball of light. And he's bending over me and he's waving his hand over my face softly. I'm in bed and I hear whirring and whirring, starting up something like a big motor or a roaring, like a whirring noise. I don't know. And it's coming from over the right-hand side by Becky's little bedroom. And it's not roaring anymore, just like a ding, ding, ding. I don't know. There's just and I feel very relaxed and rested, and then I'm asleep. Betty fell into a deep sleep, and the next thing she knew, that it was the next morning. Familiar voices echoed up the stairs. It's the next morning, and I jump out of bed, and I feel very happy. I can hear the kids up already. They're downstairs, and I can hear my father talking with a couple of the boys, and he's talking in a sort of baby talk to Cindy. He always does that to her. And it's morning. Just another beautiful morning where ain't nothing happened because the entities made them forget for a while until the appointed time. Now, at that moment during the hypnosis session, Betty jolts up. And she's awake because the experience is over. So they put her back under to safely bring her back. But that is the tale of Betty Andreasson's alien abduction. Now, it is not the only encounter she has, but it's such a long and strange one. We'll have to save her other stories for another time. That is Betty Andreasson's abduction tale, a story of... it has everything that modern abduction tales have, from the painful examination to meeting God, I guess, or an entity like God, being told the future, being told that mankind's on a divergent path and we need to get back to love. I like that. That's all I got for you. Thanks for joining me on Monsters After Midnight. We'll be back next time for some more wild, weird, wacky stuff. Join me then. Follow me on the YouTubes and other places, Alien 2000. Have some sweet dreams or a good day. Ta-ta.